How are we doing, everybody? Sam here, United People's TV. It's the 29th of December. I don't know how long it's been since I've done one of these properly. I did one the other week, but I was still a bit semi-COVID-y. Now I'm over it. It's been a long couple of weeks. Been a long couple of weeks of isolation. And I'll be honest, I was looking forward to Manchester United coming back to action against Newcastle. We're thinking, you know what? It's been a couple of weeks. You know, if we could be that good against Crystal Palace, you know, the Norwich game wasn't particularly good in any way, shape, or form. We're thinking, right, look, football's back. United are back. And then that game against Newcastle happened. And the fallout from it's not been particularly pretty. And what I want to do this morning, good morning to all of you watching on Facebook, watching on YouTube. As I said, it's been a long couple of weeks. I've missed doing these videos. I've missed the community that we've been building, but we'll be back. United will be back, hopefully at some point soon. But look, good morning to all of you. I want you to let me know what you think about this story in the comments. Discussions today about dressing room discontent, about players being frustrated at what's happening under Ralph Rangnick. Rangnick has every right to be frustrated, and us fans have every right to be frustrated. And that's what I'm going to talk about this morning. Going through an article, quite an in-depth article from Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail. I know you might say, Sam, it's the Daily Mail. Can you really take it as gospel? No, you can't take it as gospel. But Chris Wheeler's been a pretty accurate reporter for United over the last 6 to 12 months. So I'm going to give him, I'm going to run through the article. Going to look at what Gary Neville's had to say about the situation this morning in reaction to those reports. We're going to take a look at the formation. We're going to take a look at particular players. We're going to take a look at Anthony Martial and Sevilla. There's a lot of talking points. I wouldn't say it's going to be a particularly cheerful stream, but that's what happens when you face reality and you face problems. You don't just run away and shy away from your problems. You go at them head first. And let's be honest, man. Ralph Rangnick's got some big problems on his hands, hasn't he? We look at that performance against Newcastle, and there's a lot of similarities to what we saw against Norwich, really, in terms of the overall performance. In terms of the result, no, it was a different result. We got the 3 points against Norwich thanks to that penalty from Ronaldo, but the game against Newcastle there, 1-1, and we were lucky for it. I think Newcastle can feel pretty hard done by, in my opinion, to not get 3 points from that game. I thought they played out of their skin. And the fact that we've made Newcastle and Norwich look nothing like relegation candidates, even though they've been atrocious all season, it goes to show how bad Manchester United are doing at the moment. Go down to the comments here. I can see Carl. I can see you down on Facebook. Paula. We've got Paul watching as well. Josh. We've got Alex. We've got Andy watching from Switzerland. Kanan watching from Zimbabwe. Alex watching from London. Gungshi watching, as always, from Taiwan. I hope you all... Yeah, it's really annoying, I'll be honest. I've still got there's going to be more giveaways now that were supposed to happen after Christmas, but they're now going to have to happen at some point during January. I don't know when, but I'll do them. Don't worry about that. Got 5 Cantona shirts that I wanted to give away. Wanted to do our live streams and the Christmas drinks. I'm just going to have to delay it all. Maybe we'll have like a little delayed Christmas here on United People's TV. But yeah, COVID is no joke. It's not the first time I've had it. I swear to God, it's ridiculously attractive to me. I don't know why. It could just piss off. But we're over the worst of it now. And now we can just focus, hopefully, on talking about United. Look, you know how excited I was about Rangnick coming in, man. And I still remain massively excited about what Rangnick can do to this club. But if you see from the title down there, Rangnick's Man United Revolution is needed right now. It is needed right now. And it's needed probably on a bigger scale than I think we all thought it would. Nobody was on any sort of major illusion that this United team was, nobody was saying it was incredible. Wow, it's on the verge of challenging for that. On paper, in terms of the quality of this squad, we should and could be challenging. But the ultimate reality is that we're far from it. Gary Neville's reaction to it this morning, I think it does sum it up here. This is what he said on Twitter. He said, on United, I'm seeing reports of dressing room dissatisfaction this morning. Something wasn't right against Norwich, and it's certainly not right against Newcastle. Still, 4 points from those games is not a disaster considering the performance levels. Have a meeting without the staff and sort it out. Now, that's fair enough because, this is what I mean. I think I've said this to you quite a lot of times before under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I said, football, of course, is a results-driven business, right? We all know that. Ultimately, if you're getting the wins, then things like performances, they can be overlooked. But the reality is that's not the case. And Manchester United in terms of where we are as a football club right now, the performances are just as important as the result. They're not just as important as the results. I'm not going to say that because that's just not true. But the fact of the matter is that we need to see the performances because the performances are the biggest indicator of turning the leaf, going into a new direction under Ralph Rangnick, and we saw that in that game against Crystal Palace, didn't we? We saw the organisation, we saw United playing as a team, as a collective unit. So it's not because these players are finding these instructions too difficult. Because as we saw against Crystal Palace, after one training session, they were capable of doing it. So there's something else in there that's making it happen. Now, you let me know what you think about this whole situation. As I said, I'm going to try and be as interactive as possible here. There's loads of comments flying in. I'm going to answer plenty as we run through this stream. It's going to be quite a long one because there's so many talking points that we really have to discuss today. But what do you think the issue is? Because as I said, if you can be that organised after one training session against Crystal Palace, what's gone so dramatically wrong between then and you would expect United to get better because we've had more training sessions, but instead we seem to be getting worse. Alex, you're down here saying that Ralph Rangnick needs to be ruthless. I mean, I won't disagree with that. He absolutely does need to. Wills, you're saying we need a real captain. Now, we'll definitely get on to talk about Harry Maguire throughout this stream. Don't worry about that. Why is Maguire and McTominay so important they can't be dropped, says Trivanesh. I don't think anybody can avoid it now. I mean, Fred is a perfect example. Fred is the player who came in against Crystal Palace, put in a man of the match performance, got the goal for Rangnick's first game. He gave him his first real buzz as a manager. And he got taken off against halftime against Newcastle. It's not because any particular player. I don't think there's any real player inside that starting 11 now that has any sort of loyalty points, any brownie points. Bruno Fernandez, we're going to be speaking about him. Don't worry, I'm not going to ignore that. Marcus Rashford, we're going to be speaking about him. Cristiano Ronaldo, we're going to be speaking about him. But I'm not going to focus too much on individuals until we look at the overall. We have overall conversation about the issues, and then we're going to start focusing on the individuals. Don't worry about that. But as T says here, this is completely true as well. It's early days. It is early days under Ralph, and no one's expecting an immediate revolution straight away. It was always going to be a tough job. But he has 6 months. He's only got 6 months to do it. And Darren, you're saying here that as good as Ralph is, he can't do it in 6 months. I think he can. I do think he can turn this around in 6 months. Of course he can. I think if Manchester United didn't think he could, he wouldn't currently be our manager. Gary Neville went on to say performances haven't been good for months, but the body language in the last 2 games, highlighted by Rangnick post Norwich, has been woeful. And we saw that. We saw that against Newcastle. We saw it with hands being thrown in the air, with shoulders being shrugged, with players not really. Yeah, it's attitude. The attitude stunk. The attitude absolutely stunk. And Bruno Fernandez was probably the biggest example of that. And now Bruno Fernandez is obviously going to be missing for the game against Burnley because he accumulated 5 yellow cards. And if we're being completely honest, in terms of his overall form, he would deserve to be out of that team anyway. But the strange thing about Bruno Fernandez is that, I said that. I said, I'm not going to speak about the individuals. And all of a sudden, I'm immediately speaking about Bruno Fernandez. You can't ignore the elephant in the room. Now, the Bruno Fernandez situation is a bit weird, right? Let's speak about Bruno first, and then I'm going to go on to speak about this, all right? This is the most important part of the stream today. I'll just give you a little sneak preview here. We're going to be running through this article from Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail, talking about stropping Manchester United stars, giving Rangnick a headache with morale low and concerns over cliques and players wanting to leave. I'm going to be speaking about that. But Bruno Fernandez, right? Nobody can argue with his overall output. His goals and assists, outrageous. Even in this sort of form that he's in right now, his numbers are silly overall, if you look at his last 50, 60 games for Manchester United. But Bruno Fernandez he's been throwing Hail Marys he constantly throws Hail Marys. And when they work, when then they don't, United are just so poor. And we know that's because we still have a major problem at Manchester United inside this formation. If we were to look here, of Manchester United controlling the ball. CCC, control. Because when you get the ball in these situations here, the logic is for Manchester United to simply be able to control the ball. Those ones there. It should be a case that those 4 players, whoever they are, it was Bruno, was it Greenwood or was it Rashford? I don't really know what the format who played where. I think it was kind of Rashford over here towards the start, wasn't it? Probably Rashford down there. I think it was Ronaldo over here, and I think it was Greenwood there. I think that's kind of what happened at the start against Newcastle. When you get in these situations here, when you've got Rashford, you've got Bruno, you've got Fred and McTominay, they should be able to control the ball. Bruno ended up dropping way too deep into the channels here, receiving the ball, and all of a sudden, because there was so much space there was no one for him to do a nice intricate pass with. So he was left with the Hail Marys, right? He was left with the Hail Marys. And it just did not work. The formation against Newcastle did not work. You could argue the exact same thing. The formation did not work against Norwich. It worked against Crystal Palace. That's the thing I find so confusing. But it certainly hasn't worked in the last couple of games. And Bruno Fernandez is absolutely a major part of that issue at the moment. He's not a major part of the problem. Bruno Fernandez is a major part of the solution, because I think he's got every single right to be throwing his arms up in the air in frustration. The players not making the runs. Bruno is on a different level to the majority of this United team. Ronaldo is on a different level to the majority of this United team. And they're not used to, well, Ronaldo's used to winning, but there's players pulling in different directions. I think that's probably what you can fairly say about this United squad, right? You've got different levels of quality. You've got different levels of leadership. You've got different levels. You just got different levels. Everybody's operating on a different level, which makes it very hard for United to play as a collective team. And Ronaldo is obviously a huge part of it. Something I don't agree with, something I've never agreed with, is Ronaldo running off down the tunnel at the end of the game. It's not as if he chooses the games that he does. That's just what Ronaldo does at the end of the games, right? I don't agree with it. It's not a fair reflection of the attitude that you need to see from United players. It's not the be all and end all, but some United players like Ronaldo, I think Rashford, I think Bruno as well. None of them went to support the away end up there in the fucking gods of Newcastle. 3,000 United fans, a long old trip up there. Didn't go and thank them. David De Gea did. He ran the whole way from the goalkeeping position. But it's odd whether it's these cliques or not. Well, let's get into the article now. Let's discuss it. Whether it's these cliques or not, there's something wrong in this Manchester United team. Now, as I said throughout this entire stream, keep firing in your comments. I'm reading them out. I can read them now. I'll read some out throughout the entire stream. And look, if you're new here, welcome back to United People's. Well, not welcome back, but yeah, I haven't been here for a week. Well, best part of 2 weeks now. COVID got me. It got me. But I'm back now. I'm looking forward to getting back to doing these daily live videos for you. Later on today, I'm going to have my predicted 11 for the Burnley game, because obviously there needs to be changes. Obviously there will be changes. Bruno Fernandez is suspended for that game, so there will be changes. Lindelof's not available, and Pogba, of course, is still out. Pogba in this system, that's a question we need to have at some point. But look, let's go in and let's run through this article. Tim, I can see you there. Hope you're well, Sam. Thank you very much, buddy. It's nice to see you there. Fred, you're saying it's down to respect. The players are testing RANGNICK. He now has to show them who's boss. And the people, as I said earlier, Fred, and to anybody else who's saying this in the comments, people are like, why is that? Why can't McTominay be dropped? Why can't Maguire be dropped? Everybody can, and everybody, I think, will be dropped. I think Fred is the best example of that. A fantastic man of the match performance against Crystal Palace, taken off a half time against Newcastle. I don't think RANGNICK's going to have any loyalty to any of these players. He hasn't. Has he even? I don't think he's managed any of them before. It's all completely clean slates, and this is what people are like. Sam Maguire's got to be dropped as captain as soon as RANGNICK comes in. I completely disagreed. I said no. Every player deserves to have a clean slate and show that they can do it under the new manager. What I've seen since suggests I was wrong, but it was an opportunity for Maguire to turn around the narrative that's been against him this season because of his own performances, and he hasn't. It's just made it worse. But at the same time, Varane was abysmal against Newcastle. Looked absolutely off it. Very uncharacteristic of Varane to do that. It's those sort of like really, really stupid individual mistakes. And we know individual mistakes were a big problem under Solskjaer. Individual mistakes come down from concentration, come down from actually knowing what you're doing. But let's get into this article here from the Daily Mail. As I said, it's not a particularly pleasant read. but it goes into a bit of detail on what these problems really are at Manchester United right now. Revealed, stroppy stars are giving Rangnick a headache at United, with morale low and concerns over cliques, Ronaldo's lack of chemistry with teammates, and players wanting to leave. United look disjointed against Newcastle. There is dressing room unrest, and Rangnick has problems to resolve. Bit part players such as Bayern Lingard are growing frustrated. And let's read it. Rangnick is facing his first major challenge as United's interim manager as he tries to sort out the dressing room unrest left behind by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, my first comment on that is, of course, there's going to be unrest in a dressing room after a manager is sacked. Simple as that. There wouldn't be unrest in a dressing room. Sorry, a manager wouldn't be sacked if there wasn't unrest inside that dressing room. And United, we looked down and out by the time that Solskjaer got sacked. I don't want to remember and think about it, but the 5-0 against Liverpool, what was it? 5-1 against City, 6-1? I can't remember. 5 got pumped by City. Watford, Jesus. Oh, that was bad. It was all bad. It was all really, really bad. Yeah, there was unrest, and that dressing room was divided by the time that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer left the club. And what we're seeing now is a continuation of those problems, which worries me. I was hoping that some of those problems were going to leave with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it's at this point I want to say something very clear, very, very clear. I'm fully in support of what Rangnick needs to do. There's not really many players that are going to get much sympathy, but obviously with the whole COVID situation right now, it's a tough situation. To get through these games with the performances, to expect Manchester United to be working cohesively as a team when our training has been so disrupted, but at the same time, other teams' trainings have been disrupted and they haven't looked as anywhere near as bad as United, but maybe they're in a different position to what we're in. We've got a new manager coming into a new club in a new country, trying to instill a new system inside a dressing room, which is divided in training ground situations, which are divided. It's not the easiest situation. So I'm going to have a little bit of patience in that regard. I'm not expecting miracles right now because of what's going on. But at the same time, I'm sorry to swear, but I don't give a fuck about what the players' problems are in terms of, the training is different. The system is different. I don't care, man. There's so many players at this Manchester United team that have just been passengers, millionaire passengers for so long. I don't care if you don't like the fact that training is at a different time of day. Shit me, it's your job. Go and do it. Things have to change. And that's why I'm fully in support of what Rangnick has to do next. Because for too long, there's been too much player power at Manchester United. It's always what Fergie said. It was his most important, probably one of the biggest pillars of his long reign at Manchester United was that he maintained that no player should be any bigger than club. And at Manchester United, player power has taken over since Fergie left. And we're left with this situation now where we've got managers coming in Ralph Rangnick, who I believe will be very much of the Fergie mindset. And no player will have any power. And you saw it really in what happened with Anthony Martial and his agent coming out into the press and saying he wanted to leave. And he was like, I don't care what you say to the press. If you really want to leave, you come and knock on my door. We'll have a conversation. That's going to be his biggest problem is player power. And Ronaldo and Bruno, they're the two biggest, I suppose, examples, the two toughest things for him to sort out. So comment here coming in from Marcelino. Thank you very much, buddy. Saying the players have a poor mentality. I don't like criticism of Ronaldo's frustration. Don't like criticism. Ronaldo's frustration is understandable. Real Madrid fans board are ruthless, but 4 Champions Leagues never worry for top 4. Ronaldo's, as I said, ambitions and Ronaldo's expectations are completely different to anybody in that squad, apart from Rafael Varane, maybe. He's just winning is his fuel. He doesn't know anything else apart from that. So that's why he's frustrated. That's why, as I said, I think he has every right to be frustrated. But at the same time, what game was it? It was at Old Trafford. It was towards the end of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign, and people were like, Ronaldo doesn't run. Ronaldo isn't part of the team, and you just saw him sprinting everywhere, and you were like, wow, Ronaldo wants it. It's not as if Ronaldo's just throwing his teammates under the bus. I don't think that would be very fair. But I do think he has every right to be frustrated with how this United team is playing right now, but at the same time, I think his teammates will have every right to be slightly frustrated at Ronaldo's body language. And body language is a big buzzword here that's coming around. You can see that from Gary Neville over here and Ralph Rangnick, both of them talking about the body language. And body language is a massive indicator of what's going on. That's what body language is. That's why body language is a thing. You can really start to understand the mental position of the players by seeing how they act on the pitch. And it's not particularly good right now. What's that? Let me head down to the comments here. I'll read a few of your comments out before we head back to that article from the Daily Mail and we keep reading through it. Kabusi is saying the squad simply lacks the physicality that can pull off an efficient gegenpress. Most of our players are more gifted in the technical aspects. Now, that's something I would agree with, Kabusi. I'd say the gegenpress or the counter press, obviously the 4-2-2 system, that's what it's built on. We know that. When you lose the ball, you've got 10 seconds to win it back. Win it high up the pitch, and you force the opposition to then be defending when they're not in their defensive shape. That's when you're going to get holds. That's where you're going to expose the problems. That's the whole idea of the counter press. And we just haven't been doing that. Now, I think fitness is a major part of this, because if you're looking at Manchester United against Crystal Palace, blinding for like 45, 50 minutes. But that's probably the only time we've really seen United actually press as a unit, right? Other than that, didn't see us press against Young Boys. It was a full 11 change. You didn't see us press against Norwich. It was a bad game. You didn't see us press against Newcastle. The only time you've really seen us press was that first half, really, against Crystal Palace. Now, whether that's down to fitness, whether that's down to physicality, I'm not sure. But Manchester United certainly are not playing this Ralph Rangnick system properly, not just yet. Yeezy is saying the problem is our attackers seem to have zero chemistry. Yeah, we're not playing as a unit, are we? We're not playing as if we were to go here, we were to look at this team that played against Newcastle, and we were to see. I mean, first of all, this is a major problem for two reasons. Marcus Rashford right now bang out of form. Holy crap, he's bang out of form. I don't know what he is doing. I don't know what he is trying, but Marcus Rashford is not looking good. And then second of all, Ralph, what are you doing, mate? Why are you playing Marcus Rashford on the right-hand side? Don't play Marcus Rashford on the right-hand side. You may as well play me on the right-hand side. I'm crap. Yeah, but there's no real cohesion. There's always been arguments about whether Greenwood and Ronaldo can work together as a unit. And there's obviously right now there's questions about Bruno's overall ability. I mean, Bruno is a king of chaos, right? When it works with Bruno, it works with Bruno. When it doesn't work with Bruno, he throws his arms up in the air. He blames a lot of other people apart from himself and his own Hail Mary passes. And it's a bit frustrating to watch. And I imagine it must be a bit frustrating to play alongside as well. Let's go down here. Prayer, you're saying Sam Bruno needs someone with the football brains like Pogba. Hey, look, Pogba, when he comes back, I said there will be no place for Pogba inside this team. Maybe I'm wrong. But at the same time, I don't want Pogba to be playing inside this Manchester United team if he's just going to be leaving in January. Not January, sorry, in the summer on a free transfer. What is the point? I'm bored. I don't want players playing for Manchester United who do not want to play for Manchester United. I personally do not care in any way, shape or form if Anthony Martial could improve this Manchester United team. If he does not want to play for Manchester United, then get the fuck out of our club. Paul Pogba, if you do not want to sign a contract for Manchester United, then get out of our club. And this is what I'm talking about, the player power. This is a big issue at Manchester United. It's been a massive issue for a long time. And Pogba and Martial are two examples of that. It's about time that we just drew a line in the sand and said, I don't care if they're going to come in and improve the team. I would rather Manchester United struggle for a little bit longer, but actually embedded players in. Maybe play Elanga a bit more there. I don't know, try Van der Beek there. Geez, he's a real player. I'd rather see that than Pogba coming back in just to put himself in the shop window and earn a bigger bumper free transfer out of Manchester United by the end of the summer, even if we are for a month or two in a better position. Because by the time that happens, we're going to be back to square one come the summer anyway, because that player, I don't care if Pogba comes in and has an absolutely best player in the world for 4 months. Doesn't matter. He's just going to leave anyway. So I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Martial playing for United anymore. If you don't want to play, I don't care. Go out. Go away. Vamos. We'll find someone else. This is what I mean. It's about this player power. And this is the struggle, a big struggle that Rangnick has. Gangshiv, I see you there, buddy. Thank you very much for Super Chat. Really nice to see you, as always, all the way from Taiwan. You and the cat as well. Morning, Sam. I stayed up until 4 a.m. to watch that shit show. I really hope Ralph can sort out the problems that exist within the squad and get them playing as a proper unit with harmony, coordination, more physicality, and ruthlessness. It's yeah, I think you kind of summed it up there, Gungshi, a little bit. It's not just the fact that we're not playing with harmony or coordination or physicality or ruthlessness. It's all four of them. There is a long list of there's a long list of things that Manchester United are just quite simply not doing correctly. And we're looking at the only performance that you can say with any sort of real conviction that we've enjoyed under Rangnick was the game against Crystal Palace after only one training session. Young boys, there was 11 changes. That was an admirable draw, I think we'll call that one. But then the performances against Norwich and Newcastle, two absolute relegation candidate teams that we've made look more than average. We've made them look really comfortable against United. Very, very comfortable. And as I said, I think Newcastle can be aggrieved with the fact that they didn't come away with only 1 point. His job is massive, and it's with Rangnick. It's not just about how can he implement his system, because as we know, this 4-2-2, it's a new system. It's not a massively new system, because look, honestly, if you're looking at how this system's changed positionally, you've got what, 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's basically all the changes you've got between what Solskjaer played for years at Manchester United and what Rangnick wants to bring in. But the problem here is that it's not just about the formation, is it? It's about the application of that formation. It's about the application of the system out of possession. Still, Manchester United, it's not the problems the problems definitely exist inside possession. We've only got 1 goal against Norwich. We've got 1 goal against Crystal Palace. We've got 1 goal against Young Boys. And we've got 1 goal against Newcastle, a team with this much attacking quality. We should absolutely be creating more in possession. But still, the biggest problems for Manchester United exist out of possession. And that is the biggest problem that he's going to have with his system. And that is the biggest problem for Manchester United right now. And Gary, it's a comment here that, you're absolutely spot on. And we all knew it. And I think it's a major reason why I sort of continue to support Solskjaer, maybe past the point where a lot of you did. And I know that. But you can see that the players' attitudes, attitude is everything, man. In any job, in any fucking part of life, man. Attitude is everything. And it's just not there. And we as United fans, any fan of any Premier League team, right, should not even have to consider or even think about the fact that their team is not like given 110%. It is the Premier League, the top 20 teams in English football. It's so hard to become a Premier League footballer. Like the percentage of kids that are successful to go through the system up to becoming a Premier League player is insane. It's really, really small. So that it's not unfair to expect that every single one of those Premier League players, therefore every week, is going to be given everything. Because it's such a hyper-competitive environment. Yet, far too often for Manchester United, it's too easy for them to do what they want to do. And that's not really running around. So, as I said, you shouldn't really be talking about the basics of football. Not with a Premier League team and not with Manchester United. It should just be an absolute given. I think so anyway. And there's a comment there from you which caught my eye. So I'll read this one out before we head back to the article. Look, guys, it's simple. For so long, you've been working in a job where you can float along and get paid without ever being pushed. Of course, you'll push back when someone tries to change that. Now, I think Solskjaer changed that ish. I'm going to put that under an ish just because I don't think that was Solskjaer's main Main what? That wasn't that Solskjaer was never going to be the manager who came into Manchester United and got us working as a team. We did work. Certainly when our backs were against the wall, that's when you saw Manchester United work under Solskjaer, because that sort of underdog mentality was when Solskjaer's greatest strengths came through and sort of reflected onto the players. But Ralph is somebody I've got absolute belief that Ralph Rangnick is the right manager for Manchester United right now. Absolute unequivocal belief. So to see fans of other clubs go, oh, United has struggled against Newcastle and Norwich, I don't give a shit what you think, man. I really do not. And he's struggling because of the culture that still exists at the club. Solskjaer came in, and as I said, you might not think that he did, but I think you're wrong. I think he helped with the cultural reset and re-establishing certain identities and processes inside the club. But it only went so far, and that's what stopped us getting towards that title that we wanted. But Rangnick's got a huge job, man. He's got a huge job. Let's go back to this article and let's continue reading here before I keep getting distracted by all the comments. That's what happens when you interact. It was clear from an insipid display that Rangnick will need time to address United's problems, and more concerns were raised over the attitudes of players. We scroll down here. Having criticised their body language in a narrow 1-0 win over Norwich last time out, the German preferred to focus on the lack of physicality against second from bottom Newcastle. It's exactly what a couple of you were saying in the comments there. Physicality is an issue, and I'm not disagreeing with that whatsoever. Neville didn't hold back as he took aim at Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandez. Let's go down here. Ronaldo once again made a hasty exit at the final whistle, and questions remain over his lack of chemistry with certain teammates, notably Greenwood. Neville also hinted at a leadership struggle between Ronaldo and Maguire, and it's understood that the United skipper has been more subdued since Ronaldo returned to the club. Frustrated Fernandez has struggled. Let's see what Neville said there. Something isn't right in there. There is definitely whinging going on. They are all at each other. The spirit of a dressing room is really important, and I don't think they're all with each other at the moment. Now, this is where the article gets a little bit interesting. The 2 points I've highlighted and raised here. Let's read these ones out, because you're not talking about a Sunday League team, although you kind of think you would be here. The mood at the training ground is said to be very low, and concerns over dressing room cliques have not been helped by an upgrade to the canteen that has seen 6 4-seater booths installed. No, we are not talking about secondary school or high school or whatever school you call it. We're talking about Manchester United Football Club here. We're talking about one of the biggest and best football clubs in the world. And the players are having a moan that the canteen has been moved so they can't sit next to their best buds when they're sharing broccoli. Mate, what are you doing? What are you doing? The players are struggling to adjust to Rangnick's later training sessions and left in the dark at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday. They've got to work at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's outrageous. That is insane. Now, Alexa, show me the definition of a first world problem. Oh, shit, my Alexa actually going off in the other room. That's always good fun. Anyway, but yeah, that is the definition of a first world problem there. Seriously, both of them. Getting pissed off about a canteen chat. Jesus Christ. The fact that, yeah, look, I can't disagree with that comment. It's a joke, the fact that this is even a thing. How? And of course, Daily Mail, you can take it with a pinch of salt, but it's massively reflective of the power that the players have, that even these conversations can be genuinely discussed. It should not be a thing. It should not even be a slight thing. But it is, because of we're training at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday. I don't like it. I can't sit next to my friends at lunchtime. Miss. That's what it is. It's like kids at school. Oh, mate, just slap them upside the head. Bring back corporal punishment. Just let Ralph walk around with a big stick, just twatting players around the face. Because that culture has to change. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke, and that's what I'm saying about like Rangnick's got my complete support, my complete unequivocal support. There's not really one player inside that dressing room team there, that dressing room, sorry, that I'm like, oh no, he deserves a softer or better treatment. All of them, every single one of them. There's been too much struggle. There's been too much to-ing and fro-ing and up and down. And the last, we've now got the manager in who I have true belief in. A manager who is going to be at this club for years in different roles. Rangnick is a man who really can revolutionise United. I think Solskjaer helped get over the Mourinho dip. We were in a hole after Mourinho, and I think he pulled us out of the mud. But Rangnick is the man who's going to come in now and really shake it up. Because there must be things inside that inside that club that he's going, I cannot believe that this sort of approach is allowed. Now, one thing I would actually agree with here, say Jungle, you're saying it there, saying Ole softened up everyone. I think the players loved Solskjaer as manager because they knew that it was Solskjaer. They knew that he didn't have he didn't have that ability to really sort of. He had respect inside that dressing room, but not as an like authoritarian voice. Maybe that's the wrong word to use when I'm now going to speak about Ralph Rangnick, but Ralph has that respect, but from a different perspective. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had the respect from Manchester United's players because of what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had done for Manchester United in his career. He didn't have respect from the Manchester United players because of how well he got Cardiff relegated or how he helped, although he should actually get respect for helping Molde. I think it was to their first ever title. Ralph Rangnick is coming into Manchester United from respect and a completely different angle of respect. Over a 20, 30-year career, he's managed multiple, 6 German clubs, I think he's managed. He helped get RB Leipzig from the second tier in Bundesliga up into the Champions League competitive team. He helped build Hoffenheim from a village club into a Bundesliga regular club. He's earned respect from a very, very different angle. And therefore, his ability to come in and actually instill a new system and ideas is backed up by that respect that he's built over his career. It's something that certain players are going to clash with, for sure. Like Ant said there, if you're comfortable, if you're really comfortable and you know your environment, you know what you can get away with, and all of a sudden someone else comes in, the boss changes, and all of a sudden you can't get away with it. You're like, oh, shit. Oh, that's annoying. I used to be able to come in like 40 minutes late to work and no one said a thing. Now I've got to be there on time. Oh, man. Shit. That's the sort of that's what he's dealing with. And I like to think that Manchester United's players are more professional than that. But what we're seeing and what we have seen against Norwich and Newcastle is that they are not that professional. And that is what he's dealing with. I mean, Rangnick shouldn't have to deal with this sort of stuff at all. He should be coming into a professional football club with professional football players. Instead, he seems to be sort of banging his head against a brick wall here, going, "What are you doing?" That's the way I'm looking at it here, anyway. But let's go back to the article here before I start ranting too much. I hate that word ranting, but it's kind of hear what I'm saying. Aside from the problems clearly evident on the pitch against Newcastle, Martial has told Rangnick he wants to leave. Now, I suppose let's quickly talk about that. I didn't do a video on it because I wasn't quite fit enough to do it. But this happened, what was it? Yeah, yesterday. Manchester United have rejected the loan offer for Anthony Martial from Sevilla. Offer only covered half of his wages, and the club will only consider offers that cover all of his wages and includes a loan fee. United are happy to keep him in January if conditions aren't met. What's your opinion on this? You let me know in the comments below. But honestly, I think Manchester United should be taking a little bit of a hit on Anthony Martial. I would rather we take a hit. I would rather we pay a little bit of his wages and don't have him on the books. I simply do not want players at this club anymore who do not want to be here. It massively, massively undermines Rangnick's power position because you leave little nest eggs there that can sort of start doing Chinese whispers. Anthony Martial just in the ear of Rashford's house. Oh, man, it's crap here, isn't it? Oh, I'm not enjoying myself. Like Lingard going, oh, I'm looking forward to playing for someone else next year. These sort of like just little murmurs of discontent. We need to get rid of all of them. We need to get rid of all of them. That's Martial. That's Lingard. Who else? Pogba. Those three for sure. Paul Bridget, what you're saying here, too many egos in the dressing room, but it will be ironed out in the long term. It will be ironed out in the long term, but I suppose the long term doesn't really exist, Paul, for Ralph Rangnick, does it? He has the short term. He needs it done ASAP Rocky. Martial is overrated, says Karoom. Well, Martial certainly hasn't delivered and improved on that season. Beryl saying, agree, give Martial away if need be, and a few more. I mean, realistically, we're not going to be giving him away, but I don't think United can just keep him at the club simply because somebody won't pay his wages. The fact that we've given him far too much money for what he is worth should not be a reflection of the fact that we can't let him go. It's been a major reason why we couldn't get rid of Phil Jones, for example. A major reason why it took us like 2 or 3 years to get rid of Marcus Rojo. We just have to accept the fact that we've given players overinflated contracts, and they shouldn't be the reason that we don't get rid of them now. Let me go down here and read a few more of your comments out here. Those that want away are probably the ones causing all the problems. I mean, of course, you can make assumptions there, but that will probably be a fair assumption. And even if they're not the ones that are causing all the problems, right? And they might not be, and they certainly won't be all the problems. It just makes Rangnick's job that much more difficult. You'd need to take away those voices inside that dressing room that simply do not want to be there. If a player doesn't want to be there, Manchester United should not want him, and they have to do everything within their power to remove that voice. It's like, I don't know, if it's any job. If you've got somebody who doesn't want to be there, you think they're going to help any situation? Nah, they're going to help fuel the opposite. It's absolutely standard. I've no idea what Martial's on a week wage-wise, but he's on a fair chunk. A fair chunk. Obasi, you're saying that you're saying that Lingard needs a chance. I don't think Lingard's going to get that chance. Lingard, man, you've had a contract on the table, bro. If you wanted to sign it, you would have signed the thing. Pogba, you had a contract on the table, bro, for like 5, 6, 7 months. If you wanted to sign it, you would have signed it by now. Instead, you're bending Manchester United over a barrel, hoping to squeeze out some more money. Your priorities aren't in the right place. Simple as that. I'm sorry, but you have to be ruthless now. And I could be so much gentler on Jesse Lingard, man. The guy's been at the club since he was 8 years old, and he does deserve that. But if he doesn't want to play for you, if he wanted to play for United that much, he would have signed the contract. But of course, he's not going to do that because we've got so many attackers. Lingard's not really going to be getting that many opportunities now, and I'm just done with it. I'm done with it. I'm just like that. I'm washing my hands of any sort of sentimentality towards any players. I just want a pure, clean slate ruthlessness from Ralph Rangnick. It is the only way that this club's going to get back to where it needs to be. Because that sentimentality and that softer approach has allowed the growth of player power to be sort of exponential at Manchester United. And that needs to change. And the only way you change that is with an utter ruthless approach. And that goes for Pogba, that goes for Martial, that goes for Lingard, and it goes for any other player who doesn't want to play for Manchester United. I simply don't want you at Manchester United. And it should be a very simple question. It should be a very simple thing. And Martial's a good player. Lingard's a good player. Pogba's a great player. We should not be struggling to get rid of any of them. But the fact that we have got to this situation is because we gave Lingard too much money and no one will want to pay for his wages in the summer. And the fact that we ran his contract down and West Ham didn't want to pay 20, 25 million when they can get him for free the next year. Clearly, they made the right choice. They're still doing well. And they'll probably get Lingard on free in the summer. Then he'll get more wages. Paul Pogba, same situation. If COVID didn't happen, I think Van der Beek would already be a Manchester United regular. I think Pogba would have already left, but it didn't. And it did. So that's why we're sat in this situation where we're probably going to lose Paul Pogba again on a free for the second time. Martial signed a new contract, has not gone anywhere near where he needs to be. And now we're going to lose him too. But football moves on. And Manchester United will move on. All I want is players who want to play for Manchester United. And that's why I can't get too pissed off at Bruno Fernandez. And I know a lot of you are. But that guy wants to play for United. He wants to succeed at United. And geez, if he wasn't here for the last 2 years, where the hell would we be? Bruno Fernandez might have the wrong attitude right now when things aren't going his way. He shouldn't be flopping his arms around like a stroppy teenager. That I can't agree with. But I think he's got more right than most to be pissed off at his teammates letting him down. That's what I would say about him. Jebak, Ralph Rangnick needs to start establishing a meritocracy in his club. The first thing for him is to take away the armband from Maguire and give it to someone competent. I think it's sort of reaching the point now where that's a conversation that has to be had. Now, I know a lot of you had that conversation earlier, but I said, look, there's no way that that Maguire's going to be stripped of the captaincy before Rangnick comes in and makes his own assessment as manager. I know that we as fans have our assessment's been made over a far longer period of time, so we can get to that conclusion earlier. But the fact of the matter is, if you're a manager going into a new job, even if you know that might be certain people in your team that you're like, no, I'm not sure about that, you're going to make your own judgment. Now, 3 games in, because I think Maguire missed a game, didn't he? I think he's starting to make his own judgments. So come the start of the new year, you may well see that. Now, of course, that would massively undermine Maguire's position. But hell, I think Maguire, man, I think your performances have undermined your position far more than anything that Ralph will do with taking that armband away from you. So Daniel's saying Lingard is not signing due to a lack of game time and no sign of that improving. He was in a team, he would have signed a long time ago. Yes and no, it's kind of like chicken or the egg. Lingard, obviously, if you're looking at Lingard's form this season, I think he certainly earned his opportunities. But did he have, I mean, you could say he did deserve those because he had a great loan spell at West Ham. That's what I mean, Dan. I understand that it's a glass half full argument as to whether he should sign a contract before to get that game time or whether he should, I don't know. I don't know about the Lingard situation. As I said, at this point, there's no point playing him really because he's going to be leaving. He's not signing that contract. And whether or not we've made mistakes, because we have made mistakes, a bit like Ander Herrera, right? When he left Manchester United, we didn't offer him enough early enough. And then we were left in this situation when then he was asking for more money. I think, who was it that signed the contract? And then Herrera wanted I think it was Alexis Sanchez when he came in and it sort of like blew our wage structure up. Man, just United and wages, but our wage structure has been abysmal for so long. And we're still suffering the consequences of it. And we're still suffering the consequence of that environment and the attitudes that have been allowed to exist inside that environment. Let's go down here and continue to read this. That's just a bit more about blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Nah, irrelevant. All irrelevant from that point on. But yeah, you keep letting me know. I'll go for another 5-10 minutes here. And I really want to know your opinions. In your opinion, right, if we're talking about stroppy stars, if that's the conversation, which players do you think are most responsible for who do you think's got the worst body language in this Manchester United team right now? Name the players that you think about that in the comments, and I'll read a few of your opinions out. I'll give my opinions out. I think there's obviously 2 main candidates when we're talking about bad body language and who we're seeing. But who for you stands out as the player that, as players that are posing themselves as a bit of a problem with the body language on the pitch? I'll be interested to know what you think here. My throat's to mate. I swear to God, like COVID is absolutely no joke. If you haven't had COVID, consider yourself very lucky. If you haven't had your vaccinations and you can have your vaccinations, have your vaccinations. It's no joke. It's absolutely floored me twice. And I think I've actually had it 3 times. But let me head down to the comments here, right? I want to know which players you think are guilty, most guilty of having that poor attitude. Let's go down here and see what you think. Right. Save Jungle, you're saying that Rashford and Greenwood. Ant, you're saying Bruno and Ronaldo. Anthony, you're saying Bruno. Abdetta, you're saying Ronaldo. Salim, you're saying Ronaldo. Rashford, Ronaldo. Maguire's down there. Who else we got? No, it's just and I mean, I'll be honest, it's no surprise here really. Maguire, Rashford, Maguire. Let's go down here. No, it's all the same names coming through here. Rashford, Ronaldo, Maguire. I mean, Maguire Pogba's not even played, so I don't think we can say much about Pogba, can we? But there's so many comments coming in here, and I'll be honest, there's so many that all sort of agree with that. Let's take a moment to appreciate that Gungsi Super Chat is worth 50. Honestly, thank you very, very much for that, Gungsi. I really do appreciate that. You've been such a strong supporter of United People's TV for so long. I'm looking forward to at some point getting you on screen so we can have a chat. If players are going to complain about strict training schedules, They need a reality check. Their wages are ridiculous. And Warren, like that, this is what I mean. Like, there's only so far that your sympathy can go as a fan, because yeah, it should be hard, man. It should be hard for you because you're a Premier League football player. You were in the top. I don't know how many football players there are in England, but there's a lot, and they are in the top like 5%, top 10%. I don't know what the percentile is, but they are supposed to be the elite of the elite, and therefore there should be expectations, and it should be hard. It should be hard as hell, man. Being the best in any position, in any job, in any part of your life, being the best is very, very difficult. You've got to be better than not just doing what other people are doing, but doing it better than anyone else is doing it. It's what Ronaldo's made an entire career out of. It's just what these players are just not good enough at. Jibak, you're saying Rashford, Maguire, Bruno, and Ronaldo need to sit on the games for a few minutes. That should shock everyone out of their comfort zone. I don't know whether dropping everybody is going to make that sort of difference. In my opinion, if I was to go here, if we were to pull this up together now, say, right, who is the problem? Where's the bad attitude coming from? Body language wise, I'm probably putting Bruno down as number one. I'm going to put Ronaldo there as well. In terms of body language that I'm seeing on the pitch, I'm probably going to put Rashford in there too. I'm not sure I'd put Maguire in that. No, you probably would put Maguire in there as well. McTominay and Fred, I don't think you can really criticize their body language. McTominay and Fred, whether you like them or not, right? And we know that they're not good enough as a central midfield pairing. I think they, from a body language perspective anyway, they do far more than most. And if you're going to maybe choose one, you probably might choose McTominay, but I think that would probably be slightly unfair. I don't think that's where the problems of Manchester United's body language exists. And when you're looking at this, when you're looking at 3/4 of Manchester United's attackers having poor body language here, then it's not hard to see why Manchester United have issues going forward. Really, man. There's a comment there which I absolutely agree with from Josh saying we need to get Gungshi in the mods group. That needs to be arranged. Gungshi, you need to get in that mods group. I'd love to have you there, buddy. See what else we're going down here. Julian saying Rangnick must use the transfer window. Now, I agree and disagree with that, right? Yes, Rangnick does need a transfer window. But no, new signings are not completely the answer, right? There should be far more answers inside this current squad than Rangnick is currently getting. And that's going to be down to him as a manager to manage this squad and improve these players. That's where we're going to see Rangnick as a manager. Rangnick as a system implementer. That's what we got Chris Armas for. That's what we got Sasha Lense for. There's multiple jobs at the same time here, and Rangnick's going to have to juggle that. Of course, we need new signings. And we all know that. Haidara, someone like that in midfield would be fantastic. Maybe someone like Julian Alvarez coming in and improving our attacking options. Maybe that could be something that improves United. But ultimately, this squad is good enough to be playing far better than what this Manchester United team currently is playing. And that's going to be down to Ralf Rangnick and improving. If we're talking about body language here, we're talking about Ronaldo. We're talking about Rashford. We're talking about Bruno. It's getting everybody playing on the same wavelength. We're not doing that at the minute. Sim saying the worst body language in the club has been Martial. He can hardly get his chin off the floor. My opinion, look, I might be going slightly. I probably went a bit overboard with Martial. I did it a long time ago. I said he shouldn't play for United again. I was kind of done and sort of like I've washed my hands of him. I think he's just got he's got resting bitch face. Some people do. Some people do. But I think Martial, I'm not gonna try and isolate his attitude any more than any other players, because the fact of the matter is he's been terrible. Everyone's been terrible, really. Victorim saying, how good has De Gea been? I see there, Victorim, as always. Oh boy, you were wrong. And it's not that I was wrong about David De Gea. I would disagree with that comment. De Gea's been fantastic. But my opinion on David De Gea was that during the summer, it felt like the right time for De Gea to move on with his young family. Ederson had stayed in Manchester for so long. It felt right. It felt like the progression towards Henderson made sense. And I stand by the fact that you can talk about how good De Gea has been this season. Who's to say that Henderson couldn't have gone on and massively improved this season at Manchester United? I think he absolutely would have. But De Gea has been outrageous. He's been probably our player of the year so far. I'd like to know if there's anyone else that you could disagree with that. But no, De Gea has been fantastic. Absolutely. And it's not that I'm eating humble pie with him, because he's always been great. But I just felt, as I said, I felt this summer was the right time for Manchester United. It felt like the right time anyway, for United to move him on and just bring Henderson in as number one. But I'm happy to be wrong. Happy to be wrong about that. De Gea playing like this, fantastic. We got Bar watching from Sierra Leone this morning. Good morning to you. We got Shashank saying that you're saying after 4 matches, the optimism has all gone in the air until we're short out midfield. We can never play well with any system. It's not the fact that the optimism hasn't gone. It's just a reality that maybe it's going to take longer than we all expected for RANGNICK to be able to do this system properly. And as I said, the COVID situation at the club, that's definitely played a part of it. Remember that training ground was closed for a week or two. Players, games getting cancelled. It's not a fluid situation. It's a very hard situation for a new manager to come into. That's not something that Klopp's having to deal with, or Tuchel, or Guardiola, or any other club really. Manchester United, the only club in this situation, I suppose. We're a new manager in a tough situation where it's just not possible to get that cohesion. And that's why it's going to take longer. So that's why I said I will have patience in this. I will remain patient with how Manchester United are doing and going. But I am just done with supporting the players. Right now, I'm supporting the manager. 100% I'm behind him, because we are seeing a continuation of problems that have existed now under multiple managers. And when it comes to troubleshooting, when it comes to root cause analysis, you try and you go down, you go down, you go down. You try and find out where the problem is. And if you take it off, you chop the head off in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and the same problems exist, lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was not the root of the problems, even if he was part of the problems. And that is what RANGNICK needs to clear out. And we all know that underlying attitude and that underlying complacency and comfort that players have just being a Manchester United player. And that's all it is. You don't have to work hard to sort of keep your position as a Manchester United player. It's just easy, man. I'll just keep bopping through. I'll just turn up to training when I want. I'll leave training when I want. I'll have a burger on a Thursday, and then I'll play on a Saturday. Doesn't matter if we win, lose, or draw. I'm still going to be a United player. That attitude just needs to get slapped out the club. And I'm sure Ralph is going to be the man that slaps it out the club. Because players right now, they're bang out of form. Rashford looks gash. He looks awful. Bruno Fernandez throwing his hands up in the air. That's not the Bruno Fernandez that we all know and love. Cristiano Ronaldo cutting a massively frustrated figure. He does not look like the greatest of all time right now. Harry Maguire, he looks Sunday League. Rafael Varane, even him coming back in. David De Gea is probably the only player who's really managed to sort of come through this and still looks like David De Gea. It's a big job on his hands. It's a big, big task on his hands. We've got Burnley tomorrow at Old Trafford, and geez, that can't be anything but. There has to be a response there against Burnley. If there's no response there against Burnley, I would definitely get concerned about what RANGNICK is going to actually be able to do, because it's Burnley at Old Trafford. And it's actually been a bogey game for United for quite a while. Let me head down here, right? I'm going to read a few of your comments out now before we wrap it up. And as I said, look, before I do that, I want to say a big thank you to everybody joining in this morning. It's really nice to be back here, to be back talking to you, to be genuinely doing interactive content again. I've missed it. As I said, it's been a tough 10 days. Isolated over Christmas. Didn't get to see family on Christmas. Didn't get to see family properly on Christmas last Christmas. COVID. What a bunch of twats. All of the COVID. What do you mean bunch of twats? COVID's hit everyone hard. It was a tough Christmas. But I'm back here now, and I'm looking forward to. Well, I'm looking forward to January. Eh? We've got January transfer window coming up. We've got tons of football coming up, and the football should continue to get better. It should continue to improve. I've got full belief in the system. Some of you might think that 4-2-2 isn't a system that works for United. I think a 4-2-2 is a system that can and should absolutely work for Manchester United. Although I do think he has to play players in the right positions. And playing Rashford out on the right-hand side as a number 10 is not the right position, Ralph. That is a bad decision. That should be Jadon Sancho and probably Anderson Cavani starting up there as well. Ralph should explore other formations, says Kabusi, and see what happens. Bruno is struggling. Ronaldo's chances of goal again slimmer. Something has got to give for sure. I personally don't think it's the system that has to give. I think it's the fact that the players have to start breaking a sweat and making sure they fit inside that system. And this is what I mean. If we start looking at the system now and saying, I'm not sure that system is correct, I think we might need to switch it up. I would disagree. I think that's pandering to the players. I think Ralph has got a system. Of course, he's used different systems, and we've run through that before. He used a 4-3-3 at Hoffenheim. He's even used 3-5-2 when he was at Leipzig. Of course, he has different systems and he has different flexibilities. But this 4-2-2 system worked against Crystal Palace. And I know it can work going forward, but it requires the players to fucking work hard. Work hard, man. And this system will work. The system isn't the problem. The attitude of the players inside the system is the problem. That, for me, that's what I mean. Look, I can just go back and show you. Go and watch the first half against Crystal Palace and tell me that 4-2-2 system can't work with this Manchester United team. You won't be able to. Because we saw in the very first game under Ralf Rangnick that this system does and can work if the players apply themselves. If they don't apply themselves, they're going to start throwing their hands up. They're going to start saying, oh, man, oh, I can't do it. Oh, the system's not working. It's wrong. All right? The system can work, has worked, and it's down to the players. Now, that's obviously going to come down to Ralf Rangnick and his management and his coaching staff and everybody getting the system better, of course. But players, man, the players have got to look at themselves and say, you know what? Really, I've got to improve. Really got to improve. Now, of course, we've got the transfer window opening in a few days' time. And you know that I'm looking forward to it, man. After such a quiet and quite frankly depressing couple of weeks in terms of football, no football, and everything that was happening over Christmas for everybody, I'm looking forward to the transfer window being open so we can start looking at, improvements that we can make to this team. And I can't wait to keep reporting on it with you. But as I said, thank you very much, everybody, for joining in this morning. Thank you very much, Gungshi, for that super chat. Warren, for your super chat. Everybody for your support. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and United playing absolutely cack against Newcastle didn't help. We've got Burnley tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Yeah, it is tomorrow. Burnley tomorrow, and then Wolves, I think, on the 2nd. But look, I'm looking forward to it. I think United will continue to get better, but Rangnick's got a big job in his hands, and these players have to take a long, hard look at themselves because otherwise they can all just get out of my football club. Simple as that. But as I said, thank you very much, everybody, for joining in today. I'll be back here tomorrow at 9:30, as I always will be. I'll be back here later today with my predicted 11 for the Burnley game because there will be changes. And I know lots of you want to see a lot of changes. I'm not sure how many changes we'll see, but we'll definitely see some changes. Paula saying, look after yourself, Sam. I will, Paula. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm glad to be back. But thank you very much for joining in. I'll see you soon. Take it easy, everyone.